What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
Hey guys, it's Chris here, back in the building with the Week 13, unlucky for some week, playoff picture. And after a tumultuous week of NFL games where we had, for the first time I think in the history of the league, from what I recall in my own lifetime, we've had a Wednesday game, well, Wednesday afternoon to be exact. However, that has kind of skewed my video planning for this week. As you guys can tell, that this video has come out much later than usual, but that's not to worry because there's still a lot to digest and a lot to talk about for you guys, because we have a few change of hands in terms of division leads, both in the AFC and NFC. We've got a few changes in the playoff seedings, and we've got two teams that are mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. But without further ado, let's get started on the Week 13 playoff picture. Anyways, let's begin as usual with the AFC playoff standings. And yes, I mentioned not one, but two teams are officially eliminated from playoff contention this year. And surprise, surprise, it is none other than the winless New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have had one solitary win all season, which was game week 1 against the Houston Texans. Since then, they've yet to find a second win all season, so no surprise that both of them are out of playoff contention. However, in terms of the main playoff standings, the Steelers and the Chiefs still occupy the top two spaces. We got the Titans, however, now taking over the more important third seed, it could be argued. We'll see what could happen at the end of the season at expense of the Buffalo Bills. However, bear in mind that the Titans have played the Bills this season, so if they were to end up with the same record, then it would come down based on their head-to-head, and in that game, the Titans beat the Bills, so that's why they are ahead purely on head-to-head record. Harsh, I know, however, that is the name of the game in the NFL. You've got to beat the best in order to be the best. Anyways, the three remaining wildcard spots are currently held by the Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins, and the Indianapolis Colts. However, the Raiders, who were in a playoff position last week, have slipped out of playoff contention as it stands. Meanwhile, on the NFC side of affairs, it is relatively normal behaviour so far from 4 of the teams, because the all-important top seed in the conference is still occupied by none other than the New Orleans Saints. In third, we've got the Green Bay Packers. In 6th place, we've got, well, the second of the 3 wildcards, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the last important wildcard is occupied by the Arizona Cardinals. However, there are a few changes from 3 of the teams. Why I say that? Because I skipped second for a reason instead of going 1, 2, 3, because the Seahawks have taken back the lead of the NFC West from their fellow division rivals, the Los Angeles Rams, who are 5th in this year's playoff standings so far. But once again, we still have some game weeks of football left, so don't go anywhere because it will be close. That's all I can say. However, we've got a new division leader atop of the NFC East, none other than the New York Giants. And yes, they might have a losing record, and yes, we might have beaten a Cincinnati Bengals team without Joe Burrow, but who cares? The fact is, we've got a new division leader in the NFC East race, and once again, that is going to be tight. It might be for the wrong reasons because of the fact that we've all got losing records, but who cares? Either way, one of us is going to be in with a shout of this year's playoffs. But who knows? I'm going to put my hands up and say, look, anything can happen in the NFL. However, let's get on with this week's playoff picture. In the AFC, there are potentially not one, but 2 teams that can punch their tickets to this year's postseason. And they are the 2 teams that you can see on the screen right now. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. However, I am going to start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers first, because it's fair to say that their road to this year's playoffs is a little bit more simpler to explain, because all they have to do is win their game against Washington, who, in all fairness, they did win big against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving weekend. However, does Alex Smith cause problems for the Steelers' defense? Maybe. We just got to find out in the game. However, if the Steelers win against Washington, then they can all but punch their ticket to the postseason. However, they can also get in if any one of the 3 teams lose. The Colts, the Dolphins, or the Raiders. However, the extra bonus, as I mentioned, because they can clinch the AFC North, is if the Cleveland Browns lose, then the Steelers will clinch the AFC North based on strength of schedule over the Cleveland Browns. However, as I mentioned, the road for the Chiefs is that tiny bit harder, not that much. However, I will explain it because it is a little bit more complicated for you guys, and I'm going to try and simple it down as much as possible. However, if the Chiefs do win, then they automatically punch their ticket to this year's postseason. However, they can clinch the AFC West division title if they win and the Raiders fail to win. However, if the Chiefs tie, which is very unlikely in today's NFL, against the Denver Broncos, then they are hoping that the Raiders can lose, and that is the only way they can get in, because if the Raiders tie or win their game, then the AFC West division fight continues into another week. However, if the Chiefs do tie, and like I mentioned, it is very unlikely, they'd hope for any four of the following outcomes. So if the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Ravens, any one of those four teams, they fail to win their respective games, then the Chiefs are in this year's postseason. Without showing any disrespect to the NFC, but yes, there is a team that can punch their postseason ticket, and that is none other than the top seed, that is the New Orleans Saints, because all they have to do is win and hope that the Chicago Bears fail to win this weekend. However, if the Saints do happen to tie, then they'd have to hope for the Bears to lose, the Vikings to lose, and the 49ers or the Los Angeles Rams failing to win. So that is either by tie or losing their game this weekend. And then they're officially in this year's 2020 NFL postseason. So as I've done in the previous week's worth of predictions, starting from week 9 and up to week 12, I'm going to give my insight as to what I think would happen if the playoffs were to start today based on the standings going in to this week's set of games. Because we all know I start off with the AFC side, and the Steelers, we all know that they have the top seed at this very moment in time, and the three games on wildcard weekend would be the Chiefs against the Colts, the Titans versus the Dolphins, and the Bills against the Browns, which you guys can see on the screen right now via the little matrix on my Excel spreadsheet. From those games, I can only see one outcome really, which is all three division winners to emerge victorious, so that being the Chiefs, the Titans, and the Bills. Going on to the AFC divisional round, based on those predictions, then it would be the Steelers against the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tennessee Titans, and from that really, I think it's going to be a Steelers versus Chiefs AFC Championship game, but there is a shocking twist in store. Why do I say that? Because up until this point, I've backed the Steelers to make the Super Bowl and win their 7th title. However, this week it's about to change, because I have to say, watching them against the Baltimore Ravens this week, that didn't convince me that they were built to win their 7th Super Bowl title, because of the fact that they struggled against what was a barely noticeable Baltimore Ravens side, I have to say. So I'm backing the Chiefs to make it to back-to-back Super Bowls based on the Week 12, well, the predictions from Week 12 going in to the Week 13 set of games. Meanwhile, moving on to the NFC wildcard games based on the Week 12 standings, we'd first up have a cracking NFC West clash between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we'd have the Green Bay Packers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And last but not least, we've got the New York Giants against the Los Angeles Rams. However, I can see the Seahawks nicking it against the Arizona Cardinals at CenturyLink Field. The Packers, well, I think Aaron Rodgers would get his revenge on Tom Brady following his earlier drubbing this season. As well, with the Giants and the Rams, well, the Rams should theoretically win. However, if the Giants can pull it off, I would be absolutely amazed. But moving on from that, we'd have the Saints against the Rams, so top seed versus the 5th seed, because we all know the Giants have been knocked out theoretically at that point. And we have the Seahawks against the Packers, so two very good NFC divisional round matchups. However, I expect the Rams to beat Drew Brees' Saints, However, bear in mind I am basing it off the fact that the Saints' postseason struggles have been relatively evident in the last 2 or 3 seasons, so hence why I'm putting the Rams in the NFC title game ahead of the New Orleans Saints. And when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks against the Green Bay Packers, well, I think Russell Wilson will light it up against Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay Packers, although I will expect an epic shootout between the two rivals. In terms of the NFC Championship game, I'm expecting the Rams to beat the Seahawks once again because, as I've mentioned in the past, well, if you check back on one of my week's predictions a few weeks ago when the Rams did play the Seahawks, I suspected that the Rams will get the better of the Seahawks. And well, in the postseason, it's no different. I'd expect Jared Goff to do the same to Russell Wilson and get the better of him once again and advance to his second career Super Bowl. However, based on Super Bowl 55, which would be the Chiefs against the Rams, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Rams fans. However, I think the Chiefs will go back to back and take home another Super Bowl. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out my predictions for this week's games, the video is right here. If you want to check out the Week 12 playoff picture from Thanksgiving weekend, the video is right here. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel right here. And until next week, guys, peace out.